All right, I appreciate everyone joining us this morning, especially if you're listening live. Thanks for getting up early with us. So today's topic is, I think, a really important topic, one that unfortunately isn't discussed quite as much as it could be or should be in our industry. But hopefully there'll be some good value in there for you today. So pretty descriptive title. So 4 strategies to ensure that your self-directed IRA or 401k is compliant. My name is Sean McKay, and this is an American IRA presentation. So obviously this isn't any sort of attempt at a sizzle presentation, but again, one that I think is really valuable for those that either have self-directed accounts currently or you're looking at establishing a self-directed account. You want to make sure you understand the rules of the road. So at American IRA, it's important to understand that we are not able to provide definitive tax or legal guidance. And so you will hear me speak today about the importance of having those CPAs, those attorneys, as being a part of your team, especially for kind of nuanced or complicated investments that you may be looking at. So we're going to kind of build out this concept today. So we'll start with the most fundamental concepts of the things that we need to understand as self-directed investors. And then there'll be a little bit of a discussion on kind of how to think about a couple of different types of investments and at what point you should really start having kind of deeper conversations with your professionals and making sure that you're compliant. So first thing we're going to look at is just the most basic aspect, which are the assets that we are not able to purchase with retirement accounts. And so effectively, it's collectibles and it's life insurance policies. So collectibles could be in the form of fine wine, it could be artwork, it could be antiques. There are certain coins that are considered collectible coins that could not be acquired or owned by your retirement account. There are certain automobiles, kind of classic cars that are considered collectibles. So those are the things that we need to make sure that we are not purchasing with our retirement accounts. So I'm saying retirement accounts. Certainly we have quote unquote self-directed accounts in our industry, and those are the accounts that we service at American IRA. But really, when we say self-directed, we're simply meaning that you are making the investment decisions as opposed to an advisor, and a true self-directed provider such as American IRA is giving you the complete flexibility to invest in anything that is not essentially on this list. So a quote unquote non-self-directed account is going to typically limit you to the equities world, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. You can still make those investments with us, but largely clients are coming to us because they want to invest in alternative assets. So they want to invest in real estate, privately held companies, precious metals, cryptocurrencies, debt instruments such as mortgages, etc. So the next component we want to look at is when our IRA or 401k is making an investment, there are certain individuals and companies that our retirement account should not buy an asset from, sell an asset to, and these people need to make sure that they are passive with investments made by our retirement account. So we look at you as the account holder. You are a disqualified person, so is your spouse, as well as your lineal family members, your upline and your downline. So your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all the way down. The downline also includes spouses. Now, included in this list are entities that these individuals own or control. And so if you and your wife have an LLC for rental properties, that LLC is a disqualified entity. So again, these individuals cannot buy an asset from your retirement account. They cannot sell an asset to your retirement account. Not listed on this screen, but something that you would want to discuss with your professionals in kind of a fairly uncommon scenario is that the next layer of disqualified persons and entities are individuals and companies that provide services to your retirement account. So for example, I, Sean McKay, I am an employee at American IRA. And one of the only downsides to working at American IRA is that I cannot do business with so many of my friends and colleagues in town that are also real estate investors. I cannot do an investment with their retirement account because I am an employee that provides services to their retirement account. So your CPAs, your attorneys, your retirement account company, those companies and individuals employed at those companies are also largely going to be part of this disqualified persons list. Now, we mentioned that those individuals need to be passive on your transaction. And so when we look at most typically the real estate concept is where it is something that is a little bit more challenging to make sure that you're staying passive. And so we want to dig into that. So those individuals on the previous slide and companies should not be a realtor on a transaction with your retirement account. They should not be the closing attorney, escrow agent, whatever the typical format is in the state that you're investing. The big one is also not providing sweat equity. So you always need to hire out third-party, non-disqualified vendors to be able to provide services. Now, property management is something that I find odd that there's disagreement in our industry. I think we're all in agreement that you do not want to officially be an agent, such as being a realtor. For me, when it comes to filing an eviction in North Carolina, for example, you start with a summary ejectment. And so you fill out these documents stating what the issue is, information about the property, the tenant, et cetera. And then there's a section where it asks who is responsible, who is the agent representing the property. If you as the account holder are the agent acting as an official property manager, for me, that's a very clear prohibited transaction. So you want to always have either your attorney, a third-party property manager, another investor officially and formally representing a property that is owned by your retirement account. Now, again, there's that I will acknowledge is kind of disputed in our industry. Other companies will say, oh, you can formally be the property manager, et cetera. But again, there's for me no differentiation between that and being the realtor that's acting as an agent representing the property as well. So at American IRA, we will say your best practice is having official third-party property management, especially for legal concepts, things of that nature. So this example we're going to call kind of a pristine investment, one in which there's no way you're going to have compliance issues. So in this basic example, your retirement account lends $150K to someone who's going to buy a property and they're going to fix it and flip it. They could make it a rental property. The exit strategy part is pretty irrelevant. So the key is that the borrower is not a disqualified person or entity. And because your IRA is just purely the lender and you're not going to be personally fixing the property up, anything of that nature, you're completely passive. Very, very clean transaction. Now, of course, as we just spoke about, if your IRA is the lender, it has to lend to a non-disqualified person or entity. So your retirement account would not be able to lend to you, to a entity that you own or control, to a spouse, to lineal family members, or their companies. So those are people that we're not going to want to lend to. Now, the next example for me is a little bit nuanced. It's one in which it could go either direction. And so I wanted to bring this to our attention just so that in these kind of similar situations, which frankly happen very regularly. I've had 3 of these questions this week. We do a lot of business with investors that are doing scaled real estate projects. And so they're raising capital, they're doing large apartment complex deals, retail deals, industrial deals. So there's a lot of moving parts here. And so in this example, your retirement account is going to invest in an apartment complex project. So the way these things are typically structured is you have kind of 2 groups. So you have what are called the general partners. It could be just one general partner, it could be a few general partners as individuals or their own companies. So they're the lead investors. They're putting this real estate deal together. They've found the deal, they've negotiated it, they've done the due diligence. And so they're looking to bring on, so that's the general partners. They're bringing on limited partners. So these are the investors that are bringing capital, which is usually going to be the down payment for the property. And then the general partners will arrange typically bank financing for the remaining balance. So the limited partners as a group might bring 35% down payment. And then the general partners are going to arrange for the remaining balance to be in the form of bank debt. And so in this case, your IRA is going to be part of the limited partner group that is bringing the down payment. Now, where it gets interesting and kind of something where we need guidance is that you as an individual are actually employed by the private equity group that is the general partner on the deal. So as an employee, you work for the company that is putting this real estate deal together. So what I will tell you is that that is a little bit of a gray area. That is something where at that point you would want to bring on your tax and legal professionals. And the great thing about this scenario is that there are almost always tax and legal professionals that are assisting in putting together the offering documents for the investors. And so you have kind of built-in professional resources that can give you guidance as to whether they believe this is a prohibited transaction or not. Now, certainly it is a little bit predicated on the facts and circumstances, your role at the company, percentage ownership that your retirement account would have, perhaps your compensation package for this specific deal. There are some variables there. I will say, just as very broad strokes, typically the professionals are comfortable with the way that the deal is structured, whether it's just a very small percentage ownership that employee is going to have of that investment deal, or their role in the company is not so substantial in nature that they feel as though there's a conflict there. But again, you want to speak with your tax and legal professionals to get guidance to lay out all the specifics of the scenario so that they can make an educated recommendation to you. And then the last part of this process and this discussion is flow of paperwork. And really, this could also be articulated as flow of communication. When I look at scenarios that don't go well for our clients, either in the purchase of an asset or the sale of an asset, the discussion we always have as a senior team is, what could we have done better, certainly, and what do we see as the patterns in an investment that is not going as clean as it should be for clients. And so I would state that there are a couple of things. So first and foremost, as kind of the primary educator for the company, I take responsibility personally when investments aren't going well, because clearly I'm not providing enough education and guidance as to how investment processes should flow. So first and foremost, I got to take the hit on that. The second concept that I would encourage you to really think about as you're making an investment or you're selling an investment is to be very communicative with our transactions team for investments that you're making. And so that can be a call, that can be an email, but as early as possible, looping us into the possible purchase or sale of an asset, because what that allows us to do is to internally create a file for what is transpiring. And if we're able to create a file and you're making us aware of the kind of appropriate parties, so paralegals, closing attorneys, et cetera, that allows us to be able to kind of help you to start to structure this out. Because the common theme that we see is that when investments don't go well, and let's say that today is Wednesday and you're hoping to have your investment purchased today, if today is the first day that we're hearing about the investment and we're starting to help you put together the documents, unfortunately, we don't have enough lead time to execute that investment on behalf of your retirement account. And so communicating early and often would be really helpful for both us as a company and for you as an employee, so that we have the best shot possible for hitting those deadlines. And so ultimately, every situation is a little bit different. We do have kind of basic asset classes and flow of process so that we can help you in navigating the documentation. But again, we have a really phenomenal team that is going to be patient and work with you through this process so that we can help you to have the best chance possible to be able to execute that investment. So again, flow of paperwork, please do everything you can to kind of as early as possible and as proactively as possible, share information about the purchase or the sale of an investment so that we can kind of help keep the investment on the rails. If you haven't already, we do have 2 YouTube channels we'd love for you to check out. We have American IRA LLC. And then we also have kind of a third party channel, The Lousy Investor, LOUSY, where largely I just kind of make fun of the bad investments I've made. We talk about some successes and some ways to potentially think about investment strategies, especially as it pertains to the real estate asset class, to the private lending asset class as well. Anything that I've done of any significance or positive outcomes, I'm largely just stealing from family, friends, and colleagues that I'm able to learn from. So not preachy, just trying to help the investment community in some small way. So really appreciate you guys joining us here today. Again, if you're interested in moving forward with the self-directed account, we'd love to be a resource for you. My email is Sean, SEAN, at AmericanIRA.com. Our office number is 828-257-4949. Again, really appreciate everyone's time today. This was fun, and it's always great when there's some engagement here. So appreciate everyone's time today, and please let us know if you have any questions moving forward, and we'll be happy to assist you. All right, thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.